All right, here we are. I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to go through my bracket game by game. I promise I'll do it quickly, though. Don't you want to know how I feel about every single game of the NCAA tournament, even though I haven't really watched hardly any games all season besides SLU, Mizzou, and Illinois? But we'll see. We'll have some fun. Let's do this. Take it away, Konzo Martin.
We've used it before, of course, but not every word of the song. But it said, "When the ball is tipped, and there you are." Now I'll give you the rest of it later. So
Everybody trying to get to one shining moment. All right, let's start in the West. Norfolk State over App State, just to tick off Mizzou fans. Gonzaga takes care of Norfolk State. Now, Missouri fans, you'll be happy. I like you guys beating Oklahoma in the 8-9 matchup, the Sooners without their second leading scorer who has COVID. How about UCSB taking down Creighton? And of course, Creighton's coach, McDermott, with some suspect language. Santa Barbara moving on. I'm from Ohio. Let's go with a huge upset here. How about the Ohio Bobcats taking down Virginia, the defending champs from 2 years ago? All right, Wichita State over Drake in the former MVC team versus the current MVC team. Now I'm going to go with the Shockers. Kansas over Eastern Washington. I don't know anything about Eastern Washington, so I'll just move on there. Oregon over VCU. I'm a huge Big Ten fan this year. Iowa taking care of business against Grand Canyon. Zags over Mizzou. Sorry, Mizzou fans, but you won a game for the first time in 11 years based on my bracket, so it's all good. How about UCSB getting to the Sweet 16 over Ohio? Who knows? Why not? Santa Barbara, moving on. Kansas taking down Wichita State. Iowa beating the Oregon Ducks. And then we have Gonzaga taking care of business against UCSB. And I'm liking Iowa to get to the Elite Eight. So this is very chalky after some crazy upsets early. I like the 1 and the 2 seed. Gonzaga getting back to the Final Four, marked few, by beating the 2 seed, the Iowa Hawkeyes. Sticking with that left side of the bracket, Michigan over whoever the hell wins, Mount St. Mary's versus Texas Southern. I think I'm going to go with Texas Southern. I believe Yahuza Rasas from St. Mary's plays on Texas Southern. I'll have to check that. I believe he does. Texas Southern beats Mount St. Mary's, but Michigan takes care of business there. LSU, very impressive down the stretch in the SEC tournament, taking down the Bonnies, St. Bonaventure. Colorado takes down the upstart Georgetown Hoyas, the bid stealer, and Patrick Ewing. Florida State over UNC Greensboro. I can't tell you one thing about either of those teams at all. How about Michigan State versus UCLA in the first 4 games? I love the Spartans, and then I love Michigan State and Mr. March, Tom Izzo, taking down BYU in that 11-6 matchup. Texas over Abilene Christian, another homer pick. Our guy, Courtney Ramey, the fantastic point guard from Webster Groves High School in the St. Louis area. He's a stud. He's going to be in the NBA down the road. Hook'em Horns moving on over Abilene Christian. UConn and Maryland, I don't really know much about either team, but I love the Big Ten this year, so I'll pick Maryland, just going by the conference there, over the Huskies. Alabama taking down Rick Pitino and Iona. Man, I'd love to see Rick Pitino and Iona pulling this upset. I just don't see it. How about LSU taking down the 1 seed in Michigan? Michigan only wins 1 game in this NCAA tournament. Florida State over Colorado. Again, I know nothing about either team. Michigan State versus Texas. 2 big-time programs. I love the Spartans. The Spartans were preseason top 15 team. In the last month, Michigan State has beaten Illinois, Ohio State, and Michigan. That's 2 number 1 seeds and a 2 seed. Michigan State is dangerous. I like Michigan State moving on. Alabama taking down Maryland. LSU over Florida State to get to the Elite Eight. Yes, Michigan State over Alabama, the 11 seed. Sparty taking down the 2 seed in Alabama, also in that Elite Eight. Tom Izzo has been to 8 Final Fours, and let me tell you, folks, he's going to make it to 9. I have the 11 seed, the Michigan State Spartans, getting to the Final Four. All right, top right, the South region. Baylor beating Hartford. Hartford, I know you're in Connecticut. That's about it. North Carolina and Wisconsin in the 8-9 matchup. How about these programs in the toss-up? I'm going to go with Whiskey, Winthrop, and Villanova. I don't know anything about Winthrop, except for I remember Greg Marshall used to coach there, but they're 23-1, and I like to pick upsets. And you always got to pick some 12s over 5s. We're supposed to do that all the time. But yes, I'm going to take Winthrop, 12 over the 5 of Villanova. Purdue, taking down North Texas. North Texas, congratulations. I need to learn some things about you. Texas Tech over Utah State. I've seen Arkansas a couple times. Very impressed by Arkansas. Colgate, you have a great toothpaste, but not so much at basketball, even though you are 14-1 this year. But the Woo Pig Suey Razorbacks moving on there. Virginia Tech over Florida. Don't really have anything to say about that one or break it down. Ohio State and our guy E.J. Liddell from Belleville West near St. Louis. He's a stud leading the Buckeyes. Ohio State over Oral Roberts. Baylor, maybe this is the year for Baylor to get to the Final Four finally. They beat Wisconsin. Purdue over Winthrop. As I'm looking at these picks, I don't like either of them, but still the Boilermakers. Moving on. Arkansas over Texas Tech. I'm just very impressed by Arkansas this year. And Ohio State beating Virginia Tech. Baylor, once again, moving on in the South, beating the Purdue Boilermakers. Scott Drew, this could be your year. And Ohio State takes down Arkansas. And this one's a toss-up for me, but I'm going to say Scott Drew finally gets to the Final Four with the Baylor Bears coming out of the South region. Bottom right, the Midwest. Let's start with the Illini over Drexel. 22.5-point spread last I looked. Illinois rocking and rolling in that one. Love Porter Moser and Loyola of Chicago. MVC, I went to Bradley. I got to rep the Missouri Valley Conference. So Loyola moving on. Tennessee and Oregon State. Another one of those 12-5 matchups. I'm going to go chalk here, though, with Rocky Top. Rick Barnes, Tennessee moving on over Oregon State. Liberty. Don't know really anything about you, except for I heard you play really slow. So maybe that's a tough matchup, and Liberty just sounds like one of those schools that pulled an upset in the NCAA Tournament over Okie State. Let's go with Liberty, 23-5 on the season, the 13th seed. San Diego State and Syracuse. I've never been a fan of Syracuse and their style of play, their zone defense, and frankly, Jimmy Boeheim. He seems like a drip. San Diego State, moving on. West Virginia, I do love Huggy Bear, Bob Huggins, but Morehead State, you got a great name. We all used to wear the Morehead State, the game caps back in the day in high school before they were taken away by our teachers. Morehead State, moving on, the 14 seed. How about that? Rutgers over Clemson. I don't like Clemson football at all because they usually always beat Ohio State, so I'm going to pick Rutgers here. How about Rutgers in the NCAA Tournament? Again, that's Big Ten bias. Houston is a freaking machine. I love Houston. Kelvin Sampson, he can just coach them up. Houston over Cleveland State. Illinois in a great matchup against Loyola Chicago, the battle for Illinois and Chicago recruiting, if Loyola is really in the game there. But Illinois moving on. Tennessee over Liberty. San Diego State over Morehead State. And Houston moving on over Rutgers. I like the Illini. In this bracket. Taking down Tennessee, getting to the Elite Eight. And Houston over San Diego State as well, setting up Houston versus Illinois for a trip to the Final Four, and I like the Fighting Illini. So right there you have 3 number 1 seeds. I have Illinois, Baylor, and Gonzaga. After all those upsets, I like chalk 3 out of 4 number 1 seeds getting to the Final Four, along with the 11 seed, but it's Michigan State. It's Tom Izzo. They're not a real 11 seed. They're one of the most dangerous 11 seeds you've ever seen. Illinois over Baylor in the Final Four. Gonzaga over Michigan State on the left side of the bracket. And give me the University of Illinois, the Fighting Illini, to win their first ever national championship.
It's kudos to a lot of people, and it took a lot to get to this point. And I'm ecstatic. We're sitting here with a championship.
All right, I admit it is a bit of a homer pick, but Illinois wins their first ever national championship over Gonzaga and my Fighting Illini plus 450 bet. Grab your ticket, go to the window, cash out, collect your winnings. Illinois wins their first ever national championship. Yes, it's a homer pick, but they can absolutely do it, and they're going to beat Gonzaga in the national championship game. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and everybody enjoy the next 3 weeks of college basketball. It is absolutely the best time of the year. Happy March Madness, everybody.